about Sting versus Triple H.
Go, go, go!
Now, I grew up as a WCW fan. That's where I started being a wrestling fan when NWO was blowing up and Sting became a big deal then.
NWO, new world order.
Now,
Bum,
before
bum,
Sting,
bum, 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 bum,
have you
bum.
had any experiences with Sting before he's come to WWE?
My father was more of a WCW fan when I was growing up. I was more of a WWF fan at the
Mm-hmm.
time. I always loved the WWE. I thought it was I just liked, I don't know, I just liked it better. Um, but of course, I knew who Sting was, and I watched a lot of WCW back in the day, man. When it was, you know, fucking God, dude. There's so many of them. I just
Lex
remember
Luger.
watching the Monday Night Wars and the what was it when they had the two fucking rings with the cages and
The War Games.
yeah.
I always wanted them to bring that back to WWF or WWE.
God, they're not gonna fucking do that. There's no way.
Well, they should have. They should have.
They're not gonna do that. But oh man, dude,
How do you feel about Sting being in WWE
Sting,
finally?
Sting was a savior. Sting was such a pro WCW guy that when all that shit was going down with the WCW and the WWE, it was like everyone knew Sting would be that one guy. He wouldn't give in. You would not see him in the WWE. Now, granted, he was in TNA forever. Everybody saw him in TNA. Everybody knew, Sting wasn't this. He was the icon Sting in TNA. Um, but everybody got used to him. He was Sting in TNA. I mean, it was just a normal thing. Like, it wasn't this big deal. Sting was in TNA. And he became such a part of TNA that I think people put WCW behind them, and it was TNA now. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it was just Sting was just a normal part of TNA. Nobody thought nothing of it. He was the icon Sting. That's it. And then Sting left. Boom, gone. Gone. And then now, after all these years, 14 years in the making, now Sting is in the WWE. I think that it's a good career move. I think that Sting knows in his head that he doesn't have much longer to do this. And like you were saying, next year, I think Sting knows that his time to finally hang up his boots is pretty near, and it's time to like knock that one item off of his bucket list of being in the WWE.
That's
Facing
my
a
thing
certain,
more important than being WWE is wrestling at WrestleMania.
but I think there's certain people he wants to knock off his list on certain stages, and certain platforms, and I think it's a good boost in his pay. I think it's a good time to be Sting. I think it's a great time to be Sting. I think Sting has a great thing going. He did all he wanted to do. Now he's in the WWE. Now he's going to face the people he wants, where he wants to face them, and he's going to take his money, take his legendary, iconic career, and hang it up and be a normal guy. That's what I think Sting's going to do.
Some people, I mean, going into it, people were saying Sting was going to have a one-off match. It was just going to be one and done. He's like one match done. I think that he's going to be around for at least a year, and he's going to be consistent. You know, he's not going to be a Brock Lesnar or Undertaker. One leave, come back, and then I think he'll be wrestling at the big shows at least. At the very least, he'll be wrestling at SummerSlam, maybe Survivor Series, and maybe the Royal Rumble. Maybe we'll see him in the Royal Rumble. Who knows? I mean, whenever we depends. I think people are cutting him, selling him short in a way, because some people I've seen are kind of worried about how this match was going to go with him and Triple H this Sunday.
I think great.
I think it's going to be a great match.
They both are doing.
Whoa, excuse me. So, but I've been a big Sting fan. Let me tell you one story of when I was younger. Is being a WCW fan, and Sting joined the New World Order. He joined the Wolfpack. And do 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 do.
Too sweet.
But so my brother was this. He doesn't watch wrestling anymore, but back then he did. He was the biggest Sting mark. Like Sting was Batman in WCW for a while. Like he was in the rafters. He didn't talk. He didn't like. He was scary. He was like he put fear into people, and people loved that. That's why Sting was so big, especially against the New World Order.
But I don't mean to cut you off. I will let you finish. I'm gonna pull my Kanye West real quick. I'm gonna let you finish.
Of course you will. You always listen when I finish.
There are some people, I don't care. It's okay and acceptable to mark over them. It's totally okay. People like Sting, it's okay to mark out. It's okay. You're excused.
But, I mean, even seeing Sting now in WWE, like, I wanted it to be sooner, especially when there was the big, a couple of years ago, there was Undertaker did his return for WrestleMania, but it was, like, rumored that, like, Sting was going to be the one that came in. And they had this, like...
they were talking to Sting for a long time.
Yeah, every time his TNA deal was up, he would like talk to WWE and like, nope, not this year, and go back to TNA or something, which was ridiculous. Come on, Sting, come to WWE already. But
my man, he had a plan. He knew what he wanted.
But anyway, my brother, Sting comes down from the rafters this night, and this is the night he joins the New World Order. Did you see this? He comes down from the rafters, and it's Hollywood Hulk Hogan is in the ring with his black and white, and like he comes over to he shakes hands, he hugs Hollywood Hogan, takes off the jacket, and then he has NWO black and white on his shirt. Sting does, and because the big thing was everybody was vying for Sting's loyalty. It was the WCW versus NWO versus the Wolfpack, the black and red, and so
everybody knows the WCW quickly turned into the NWO. That was it.
So, the Sting, he comes down and he tears off his jacket, and there's an NWO black and white shirt, and my brother started bawling, crying. He was crying his ass off because Sting had become a bad guy. Like Sting was his hero. He couldn't believe that Sting would become a bad guy. Like imagine Jeff Hardy.
Say hello to the bad guy.
Just imagine you being a little kid, and then Jeff Hardy, who's your favorite wrestler, becomes the.
Yeah. TNA tried that; it didn't work too well.
So and then he, of course, Sting. That was just a bait and switch. He actually did join the Wolfpack, because him and Kevin Nash were buddying up beforehand. That was a cool story. I like that. I like Kevin Nash, but
big sexy.
Sting was probably, for a long time, he was my favorite wrestler as well. My favorite, especially as a child, before I started watching WWE. And the thing that made me start watching WWE was it was WrestleMania 14. This was the WrestleMania where Stone Cold versus Shawn Michaels. And the thing that actually made me want to watch that was Undertaker versus Kane, which was such an amazing story to me. It was like, you have The Undertaker and his brother who, like, they build it up so well. Like, imagine that those kind of stories aren't told anymore. Like, these long, drawn-out stories that lead to something. That's terrible because you look at Undertaker versus Kane from WrestleMania 14, and, like, you have all the teases about Kane before he actually appeared and all that, and he came to the Hell in a Cell, and Undertaker disappeared for months on end, and all of a sudden he shows back up. Like, you thought I was done? No. And it was so good. And he refused to fight Kane for such a long time, right? He refused to fight Kane, and then eventually he just had to give in. He like apologized to his dead parents that Kane set on fire or whatever happened, or he set on fire. That whole
The
mythology
great
is.
storyline.
It was. It was a fantastic one, and that's what actually made me more appreciative of the Undertaker. Was what made me want to start watching, WWE, because he was the Batman of, WWE. It was like Batman's my favorite superhero, and you have the Batman of WCW versus the Batman of WWE, and then
I was a boy, and now I'm a bat.
so now that we're Sting, we talked about Sting for a while, but there's a second dance partner in this match, and his name is Triple H. And you love Triple H, don't you?
Bow down. Yes, man, that's my boy, the Authority, Triple H.
Do you like that Sting's first match in WWE is against Triple H?
I think what better way, because back in the day, in the WCW, brother, you had the NWO, the Wolf Pack, and then in WWE, you had DX, and that was, I think, WWE's version of the NWO. They were the Outlaws. They were DX. So you can never ever duplicate something like DX, and or the NWO for that matter.
They've tried. They've tried their ass off.
They did. They definitely tried. But I think somebody of Triple H's stature, somebody his caliber, his level, who he is, I think it's all come full circle with the way Triple H started in the fucking business to where he is now, to who Sting is, and all that Sting has been through with the WCW. I think that now, who else other than the Undertaker? But I think they already had other plans for him, and I think, like you said, I think next year I think we're on the same page. I definitely see that happening, and both of them retire. I think that's going to be a special thing next year. But who else better than Triple H? I think he's the guy. He's the guy. He's Triple H. You can't take that. I think it's perfect, and especially now with what Triple H is doing with the Authority and being the bad guys of the business, and they're corrupting this, and they're doing this with WWE, and I think now Sting has always been the savior. So I think it's all tying into a really good storyline. So I think it's great.
Yeah, I agree. The only other person in WWE, he's not in WWE anymore, but I wanted Sting to face off against the real icon of WWE during that time when Sting was the icon of WCW. There was another icon of WWE for a while, and that would be Shawn Michaels. I always wanted to see Shawn Michaels versus Sting. And I think that Triple H is kind of being a stand-in for this. I think I'm not the only one who wants to see Shawn Michaels versus Sting.
Well, Shawn Michaels is retired, though.
Right. But I think Triple H is a good stand-in for this, even though I don't think that Triple H isn't an icon of that era. Triple H is certainly an icon. He's certainly a legend, but he's not. You're talking about icons of a certain era. And I think that Sting and Undertaker are icons of a certain era, which is the Attitude Era, which is WCW didn't have a technical attitude, but they were around the same time. The Monday Night Wars. That's pretty much what it is all about. And who are the two icons of the Monday Night Wars? Well, you have DX and NWO, then you have Sting and Undertaker. And, Stone Cold is his own thing. But Stone Cold and Goldberg, Stone Cold and Goldberg had their, was also an icon. Who could imagine seeing Goldberg versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania? That would be awesome. Then you have, this is just, I'm thinking about next year. You think about WrestleMania 32. That's going to be next year in Texas. And then you build it up as, WCW versus WWE, and then you have like the three biggest like parts of each during the Monday Night Wars. You have Sting versus The Undertaker. You have Goldberg versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Even Stone Cold, who knows if he'll ever come back? He says some things and he changes his mind. He says sometimes I get the idea, sometimes I don't. Maybe. And then I'm just like kind of brainstorming. And then you have like DX. Who's going to be part of DX? You bring in Triple H versus Shawn Michaels, and then you bring in. I mean, I'm trying to think of who in the NWO could work now, like Hulk Hogan, like Kevin Nash, Scott Hall.
No, I mean Kevin Nash is being inducted in the Hall of Fame. You already.
I think
know
Kevin Nash is probably the most put together right now. I think Kevin Nash.
Yeah, but you already know he's going to do 5 moves and that's it. But
it really should be Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, but Scott Hall can't work anymore. I don't think that's possible.
Well,
if it
I
was,
would say it's not possible, but I think he would need to change a couple of things about it. I think he would need to get a little more serious if he were to ever want to make another run. But I think that ship is already sailed.
I don't think it needs to be a run. I think you do a one-off thing with these 3 matches at the same show, where it's just like whoever wins takes home the glory. It's WrestleMania, and it's WCW versus WWE. The Monday Night Wars, on a big platform. I think that's an awesome way to build up WrestleMania 32. But that's just me brainstorming. Anyway, we're gonna talk.
Be creative.
We're gonna give our predictions now on Sting versus Triple H. Where are you going with? Who do you got, Jimmy?
Who do I gotta go first?
This is a tough one for me, I'll be honest.
Honestly, I can't imagine 14 years in the making and Sting losing. Come on. I feel like the Authority needs an upset. I think that because I don't think this is going to be a one and done, like you were saying earlier. I think Sting is going to stick around for the next year. I think it's going to be consistent. So I think that Sting is going to stick it to the Authority, so to speak, and Sting is going to win. That's my prediction. Sting is going to go over on that in that match, but it's not just going to end there. The Authority is going to have a lot more to do. Sting is going to become even more of a nuisance to the Authority over the next year or over the next 6 months after WrestleMania. And I think this is going to build up to something more. But, I definitely think the Authority is going to get what's coming to them. And Sting is going to definitely win.
I actually have pretty much exactly the same thought. I think this is, pretty much cut and dry. Sting's not going to lose his first match. He'll lose against Triple H probably against their next match, whenever that is. Maybe SummerSlam. Maybe it's going to be at, whatever, Fastlane is next.
I hope it's at Payback because I'm going to Payback. So.
Yeah. You should have. Did you invite me to Payback?
Well, Rick, I didn't know you wanted to. I mentioned.
I don't even know if I can go, but
I already have my tickets.
Okay, so we're both going with Sting for this match, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely going with Sting. There's no way. What the fuck, WWE? If Sting loses his first match ever in the history of ever coming to WWE, that will be. What the fuck? I think it's a dead giveaway.
Now, before we go into the next match, which is the final match, there are 2 other matches on the card. I just want to get your quick thoughts on them, if you have any. The first one is going to be the Divas match. It's going to be AJ and Paige versus the Bella Twins.
I love the Bellas. I love them. Look, I'm a huge fan of Total Divas. I watch that show all the fucking time. I'm hooked on it. I love Total Divas. And I love Nikki. I love Brie. Out of the 2, Nikki's my favorite. I'm sorry. I love Nikki.
Everybody loves Brie. Everybody else loves Brie because she's with Daniel Bryan, and nobody likes Nikki because guess who she with? John Cena.
I love Nikki. She's the main bitch. She's the bitch. She's awesome. I love Brie or Nikki. Damn, I love Brie too. But I'm definitely put it this way. I follow Nikki on Instagram. I don't follow Brie on anything. So,
Well,
um,
if you follow them on Twitter, you follow them both on Twitter because they're both
I
kind of part of the same Twitter, right?
I don't follow either one. I follow Nikki on Instagram. That's it. But no, I mean, I think I think it's a big year for the Bella twins. I think Paige and AJ. They're it's hard to say because they are a staple as well. But the Bella twins have been on such a rise that I don't see them losing at WrestleMania. I definitely think that they're going to go over.
Now they're going in as the heels. Do you know that? Bellas are the heels.
Yeah, I mean, I heard some stuff and I've read some stuff about what's going on with them, but doesn't change the fact of who they are. So I'm going with the Bellas.
I think I'm going with the. I'm gonna say AJ and Paige because they're the faces going
That's
in.
our first
That's
disagreement.
our first
We have
disagreement.